What's up, everybody out there? This is your boy Dev of War Room Sports, and I'd like to welcome you all to episode number 243 of our podcast, The War Room. In this episode, we talk with draft expert David West of collegefootballextra.com about the recap of this year's NFL Scouting Combine and anything that changed on his board as a result of the Combine. We also talk about Derrick Rose's latest injury, meniscus tear. That's unfortunate for Derrick Rose and the Chicago Bulls. We'll tell you how the Bulls will do in his absence this time and what Derrick Rose's future will look like in the NBA. Sit back, relax. We have this and a whole lot more. Episode number 243 of The War Room starts now.
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dev,
Yo,
Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the hot block commander. Give it to you how you want it in a 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topics, sort of like some rebels. When it's game time, they like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerate to speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4 for 26, so the war ain't Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.
Sports fans, you are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports on that WRS Podcast Network. I'm Devin McMillan. I'm here at the round table with my brothers from different mothers, Jimmy the Blueprint Williams back in the building, and B. Austin. We got a great show for you today. We'll pick the pieces up from the NBA trade deadline. We'll do a quick NFL Combine recap with David West of collegefootballextra.com. We'll also discuss Derrick Rose's latest injury and much more. So get comfy, keep it locked right here, and join us right now in the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com/the War Room, or join us on Facebook or Twitter at War Room Sports so you can join in the conversations. You can also call us directly when we open up the Digital Extreme Tech hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. But before we get started, we got to give some shout outs. So make sure you listen to the other great shows on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. You can get there from our main site, warroomsports.com, by clicking on the Podcast Network tab. You'll see it at the top of the page. You can also find some of the best shows that you will hear on the internet right there at warroomsports.com, such as the Broad Street Line. So shout out to those guys, Roy Burton and Chris Domingo. After further review, shout out to the Mayor, the Tissue and the Tape Hip Hop Show with Phil and Savage. Shout out to those guys. Sports Trap Radio with Brandon Pemberton and Anthony Green. The Mad Scientist Sports Lab with Nick Ficarelli. And welcome back to the Hoop Girls. The Hoop Girls did a show this week. Go to the network and check it out. You can also check out the listings at fatsradio.com. That's PHATZ radio.com for airtimes of all your favorite WRSPN sports shows, including our show, The War Room, which airs Sundays and Tuesdays at 3 p.m. What up, bros? Welcome back to the airwaves, Jimbo Slice. What's the deal, man?
Man, you already know, man. I'm back like cook crack, man, ready to talk some sports, talk about these ignorant athletes. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited about that.
No doubt, man. People haven't heard from you in like 2 weeks. People are asking, where Jimmy? What's up with Jimmy? You got fans out there, bro.
Yeah, man, I was in the Sudan trying to help refugees, escape terrorists, and I caught up, had a little accident, man. But I'm back, man. I'm trying to save the world. You know what I'm saying? So I'm back to do what I do.
No doubt, man. And another shout out, man. We definitely got to give this shout out because I don't know if you guys peeped our second annual Oscar preview show on War Room Sports TV. If you haven't, check it out. Just go to our website, warroomsports.com, and click on the War Room Sports TV tab to get there and check out our Oscar show. Jimmy and I gave all of our predictions prior to the show. We talked about the major categories, but we want to give a shout out real quick to John Legend and Common for their win, best original song for the movie Selma. That song get me every time I listen to it, Jim, and I've been listening to it nonstop every time I step into a car, probably for the last week. I put that joint on loop, and every time I hear it, it's like the first time I'm hearing it. I just think that song is really, really important. Like hip hop has won some Oscars, in recent years, but I don't think any of those songs were as important as this particular song. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and it's funny because if you go through Common's catalog, he has a lot of songs like that. His song about Asada Shakur, specifically his album, called what was it called? Like Water for Chocolate. It was an amazing album. He had a lot of songs like that on there, but he used this platform to put one of those songs out there. Usually, you have guys who make like conscious songs, but when they get a platform, they do stuff like Whoop That Trick and stuff like that, which also won an award. But that being said, man, that's an amazing song. It's a powerful song, and it's going to last a lifetime, man. So that's one of them songs that'll be there forever. It's quite not like the Power, but it's right below that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yo,
I mean,
the first time I heard Fight the Power, I felt like, that gave me energy like nothing I've heard before then.
Yo, it still does. Like 20-something years later, it still does. This one, I don't know, probably the R&B component to it, that bring out the goosebumps a little bit. But shout out to those guys, man. That was a big win. The movie unfortunately didn't win Best Picture. But it was recognized as one of the top 8 of hundreds of movies that came out this year. So to me, that's pretty good. All right, man. Let's get into some sports stuff. Man. Oh yeah, that's big time. You always got that title by it, Oscar nominated. It's big. A lot of people don't really see that. They think everything is a snub if somebody doesn't win, but that's not the case.
They think second place is the first loser.
Yeah. It's a little bit different than the Oscars, but it's all good. Let's get into some sports, of course, because that's what we do. I'm gonna talk about what happened this week, everybody, while y'all were on the grind. And on the grind, of course, was brought to you by DirecTV. If you like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, including that NFL Sunday ticket, go to our website, warroomsports.com, click on the DirecTV logo, order yourself a better TV experience at a discounted War Room Sports sign-up rate. If you call yourself a sports fan, and if you're listening to the fellas right now, we know you do, you got to have DirecTV. All right, man, first thing. American basketball player in the Philippines. His name is Daniel Orton. I don't know if you guys remember this dude, because he had a small stint in the league with a few teams. One of them was the Sixers, the Thunder, the Sixers, and the Magic, I believe. But this year he was playing in the Philippines for the Pure Food Star Hotshots of the Philippine Basketball Association, and he basically came at Manny Pacquiao because you guys know that Manny Pacquiao actually plays a player coach in the league. So he said Pacquiao playing. he gets a nomination right off the bat.
My bad. I'm ready for this, brother. On this tip, I read this story. I'm ready to go, and y'all already know where I'm going with it for the entire country. Go ahead, finish, Deb. My bad.
All right. Well, his comments were Pacquiao playing is a joke. He's and he was, how some leagues you have like one designated foreign player, and he was that guy for his team. He said professional boxer, yeah, congressman, all right, but professional basketball player, seriously, it's a joke. So after these comments, the team kindly cut the dude, sent them back home to America. It's kind of a lesson. Manny Pacquiao probably is the most powerful man in the Philippines. What do you guys think of this? This man gets cut for an insulting comment against Manny, who scored 1 point in his last game.
He scored
Daniel Orton has a point.
4 games. In 4 games, he has scored 1 point.
No doubt.
He didn't get a bucket. He didn't get a bucket. He went to the foul line and went 1 for 2 on free throw shots. My son can do that against grown men in the Philippines, man.
He went 1 for 2 one time because he probably been in the line before and just kept missing.
So, Manny Pacquiao's basketball shooting form might be the single worst form I've ever seen anyone. Have you ever seen his form when he shoots?
No, I haven't even seen it. Is it worse than Charles Barkley's golf swing?
Yo, it's worse than that. I'm going to send you the pics. You can post it on our Facebook page. But listen, man, it's the worst form. He's a terrible basketball player, but the one thing I do want to say about Manny Pacquiao is I give him credit for one thing, because life is so short. My man is using the celebrity or the fame that he has to pretty much do everything that anybody
do
wants
it
to
all.
do. My man, he's got the politics.
I salute him.
My man,
I salute him for that.
Man, everything. He's living life, man.
When we touch.
Yo, how much y'all want to bet? How much y'all want to bet that song was on the top of the charts in the Philippines?
Oh, it was. It definitely was. It was.
I am a Pac-Man fan. I like Pac-Man, but this is some noodlery, man.
Yeah, but this is definitely like out of control. But Pac-Man is definitely living a full life, so salute to him for living a full life. But to cut this man for giving his opinion, I mean, then again, that's why we live in America.
Well, let me tell you guys how seriously they take Manny Pacquiao in the Philippines, if you didn't already know. The Hot Shots top administrator, Rene Pardo, he told the Philippine reporters it's like he went to the United States and insulted the name of Martin Luther King. Yo!
You should be ashamed of yourself. The way you carry yourself.
Was that JoJo Award for the whole Philippines?
Yo, that's for the entire country, from Luzon to anywhere else to Manila. From Luzon to Manila, y'all all get it, JoJo. First of all, pull your skirts down, B. Stop being so sensitive. He didn't say anything demeaning or insulting. He clowned someone lightly, and I use the word clown lightly because we get a lot worse than that. They would flog us and send us to the gulag forever for the things we say, because he didn't really clown him too tough. But he can't play basketball. He can't play. He has 1 point.
Yo, Jimmy just showed me
Devin's
a photo
just seen
of
his
dude
form.
shooting, man.
He has just seen Manny shooting a basketball. That's egregious.
Look at the photo I just sent you, Austin. Just take the photo I just gave you.
Come on, man.
Yo.
Come on. You don't know how to play basketball.
Yo,
What are you
he has
doing?
no game, yo. And he's like 4'1".
Oh, man.
My man
All
took it easy. First of all, he took it easy on him because we know he said way more than that behind closed doors.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, man, we'll talk a little bit more about Manny in his real arena in a little while. But the next story, man, you guys, first of all, you know how I feel about court storming. In a lot of situations, I think it's like a prideless act, because some schools are good enough to expect to win, and you're court storming. Y'all know how I feel about it. I just don't think it's that great of a thing. All right, so last week Kansas State again beat the Kansas Jayhawks. Why they're storming the court? Because they seem to be able to beat Kansas every damn year now. So what's the surprise about? One of their students, and he goes by the name of Nathan Power. As he was running out during the court storm, he threw an elbow at Kansas forward Jamiri Taylor as he was walking off the court. So he didn't get in trouble for it then, but he actually sent a letter to the editor of their newspaper apologizing. This is what he said. I want to take this moment to share a sincere apology in breaking from the Wildcat way and stepping outside what is acceptable in the spirit of the game. Following the basketball game, I simply let my emotions get the best of me and all of the chaos. First of all, if you guys were Jamiri Taylor and some fan came up and threw a body block elbow at you, how do you guys think you would have reacted? Would you be suspended today? Would you be the one sending apologies?
Yeah. I'd have been apologizing insincerely because I'd have stole him, and then I'd have looked at my teammates like they crazy if they didn't stomp him out with me. So our whole program would be on probation.
Yeah, he'd have had to get treated like
you'd expected your teammates to pull a Morris twins on him, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
we rolling on anyone that, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I didn't provoke it. I didn't start it. You came on the court, you threw a body blow and an elbow. My adrenaline's running. We all brothers. We bleed, sweat, and whatever together. So we gonna roll on you.
Yeah,
We think
I
about
definitely would've
the
put him-
consequences later.
I might have hit him with, like, you know what I'm saying, like the DDT or something. He would have definitely got a finishing move.
Yo, DDT on the court. Jimmy's trying to kill the dude.
People's elbow.
Yo,
He's
man,
trying to
it's
weak his
self-defense,
mind.
though, B. He tried me with the Greg
Self-defense.
Valentine, so I got to, you know what I'm saying?
That's a great
Self-defense.
point. Yo, it's self-defense. So when I
Well, his,
when I F him up, that's just me trying to defend myself.
His second part of the statement said, in my excitement, I was not careful of the people I was around. I'm sorry that I made the KU basketball team, Jamari Traylor in particular, feel disrespected. By no means can I change what took place, but in the future, I will be aware of how emotions can impact good judgment. So as of today, they said the student's newspaper website crashed after they published this statement. So he hasn't, he hasn't gotten any penalties from the school or the police so far. So, we'll keep an eye on it and see what happens. I'm pretty sure if it was me, they probably would have took me out of there in cuffs, but that's a whole other story. Did you guys hear about your homies? Your homie Michael Sam, like, since he can't get a spot in the league, he's going to try his hand at Dancing with the Stars. Is this expected?
I mean, that's where he should have been to begin with.
Yo, all I'm gonna say is
he's a baller, man. SEC co-defensive player of the year.
No doubt, but he's
Never
going through
mind.
the motions of what's going to happen now. He's basically at this point famous for one reason, and it's not football. So you got to use that fame to leverage a career out of it. Got to use the Kardashian blueprint. Learn how to make a living off of just being famous.
Devil's advocate here in this question, B. Austin. You think he can kind of be considered a bit hypocritical in this junction? You
are gay.
Yo, you think he can be considered hypocritical because he did spend a lot of time saying, I want to be recognized for being a football player, for playing football, and try to act like he wasn't interested in all the extra attention. But this is nothing but extra attention right here.
Look, man, I got to get on my soapbox, and I'm going to keep it under 60 seconds, man. You got up here, you said, look, I want to be known as a football player. I'm going to put the work in. I'm going to put the effort. From day one, it's been nothing but a circus. I have no issue. I have no issue as a mature, humbled man in saying that who you sleep with and the behaviors you practice in your bedroom or home are none of my business, and you have every right to do it. But when sexuality becomes, it's beyond becoming an issue, it's beyond becoming a topic, it is the focal point, and it takes away from the sport, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with sexuality in the locker room and being broadcast, period. Like, not even on some homo versus hetero, just period. And his entire brand is based not on human rights, not on fighting abuses. His whole brand and him being famous is based on him having a makeout session with his wife when he got drafted. Like, come on, man. I can't abide by that, man. Get out of here, man. FOH.
I just want to say that it's probably one of the things where I just want to see if he's going to continue to try to play in the league. Because at this point, once you make this move, I think you're basically saying, I'm done. I'm not even going to try anymore. I'm just going to be famous. Like, I've moved on to that stage of my life or career, what have you. Like, the whole NFL.
It's funny that you say that, because there are guys that we all know from their college careers that have foregone making moves like this because of just what you said. They realize that once they do something like this, it precludes them from being taken seriously as a professional athlete ever after. Like, all the guys that have competed in this are already retired. Like, my man Tim Tebow is still trying to rock. Brady Quinn is still trying to rock. There's dudes out here that are saying, look, we 26, 27, 28, we damn near at the pinnacle of the hill, if not over the hill. We're not quitting. We're not giving up. We still working. My man is 24 and only been cut twice. So we know what it is. He's done. He's gotten the fame. He is exactly what he said he wouldn't be. He's exactly what he said he wouldn't be.
I think he'll continue to try to rock, but he knows that he has stuff to fall. He has fame to fall back on. You know, like Jimmy said, Kardashian.
To try to rock, he's making it worse for himself because part of the reason a lot of teams didn't want him wasn't even necessarily his play. Because when he played for the Rams, he didn't play great, but he wasn't terrible either. But it's all the other things that come with that. It's like what you bring to the team isn't worth dealing with everything else. So you're adding on to that. So
you're making yourself even more famous.
Yeah, like you're adding on to that. So maybe he will try to rock, or maybe he'll do it just as like, to help keep his name out there. Because guess what?
I got to deal with a media frenzy. I got to deal with a media frenzy for a practice squad player, for a dude that's not even on my active roster. Get the FOA.
He's probably managed by like Nene Leakes at this point. Like how did it take this fame and like basically make a living from it?
Yo, he said Nene Leakes. All right, so last thing. Well, no, we got two more. Marshawn Lynch, he is trying to get a trademark for the quotes from Media Day. The "I'm just here" remarks. So he's trying to
won't get fined.
No doubt. He's trying to get. He's actually filed for the trademark with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Now, this is my question to you guys. It's the same kind of devil's advocate type of question because, when this whole Marshawn Lynch thing was going on, he had started to become a folk hero to a lot of people, especially black people, because they looked at him as somewhat of a political figure that was bucking the system and going against the man and doing what he wanted in a situation where they were forcing him to do things that he didn't want to do. Does this take away from that in any way now that that he's possibly trying to monetize off of this? He's trying to capitalize financially off of it. Does it take away from it, or is it one of those things where you're saying, well, Lynch never said he was doing that in the first place? How people took it is how people took it. So you don't think so, Dios?
You know why I'm here. You know why.
Shout out to all my Africans, all my real Africans. Excuse me. No, number one, you made the biggest point. He never set out to say that I am this or I am that. He never acknowledged it. Number two, I've looked at his philanthropic efforts and his charitable efforts and what he does in his community. Yo, there's no way that he isn't everything that people think that he is in terms of being a good dude, a folk hero. Listen, man, revolutionaries got to eat too. So I respect the way some of the things that he does on that podium, even though I understand your take on him, Dev, and the immaturity, and he could go about what he does a little differently. Yo, the fact that you go up there with African beads and red, black, and green pendants on means that you're setting it out for the world to see. So I respect what he does. And let's face it, I mean, he's in a time where marketing and branding is everything. Who said that a revolutionary got to be broke? So I'm not mad at him at all. I think he is I think he is what people perceive him to be with regards to, bucking the system, being a little bit of having a revolutionary leaning. I'm not gonna say he's a revolutionary because he's not out in the streets like with the Panthers from the 60s, but he knows the brand that he has, and I think that he subscribes to that. But I also think that on the other side, he's a little bit of an a-hole, and he likes it. I mean,
when I hear stuff like that, I have to ask the questions like, what system is he bucking? He's bucking a collectively bargained agreement from his own players association. They collectively bargain that they have to talk to the media, so everybody who's going around quoting saying it's in their contracts and this and that, that's not actually true. This is collectively bargained. So like, what exactly is he bucking? And then when we bring up the great stuff that he does, like in the community and with the kids and everything like that, a lot of his fellow NFL players kind of ask like what he does with the media, what message does that send to the kids? Kids are very impressionable, so it might just be sending the message like, you can disrespect authority at any time. Now, that message is cool with me and the way I live my lifestyle, But you know,
Mhm.
what is that showing to kids who haven't made it anywhere yet? You know what I'm saying? You can't start
I'm
off
gonna
with
answer
a
that.
young age, you know?
Let me rebut to that, Dev, because I kind of see where you're going, but perception is reality, and the understanding that there is a perception that he is bucking the man or the system kind of goes a lot further than the reality of digging into the minutia of the collective bargaining agreement, which, by the way, he may or may not have had any participation in negotiating it. So there are plenty of guys within that framework who are on the outside, even in terms of negotiating the collective bargaining agreement or participating in the union, or who's to say that that union even represents the things that he stands for and believes in. I mean, so like as far as that's
But
concerned,
everybody makes him a
that's
hero,
looking
like Marshawn against the media, but it's really
Mhm.
Marshawn against the other players and their reps who negotiated this BS in the first place. That's what I'm saying. It just seemed like perception is getting twisted, you know, everywhere you look, because they may be pitting Marshawn against the wrong people. And that's why I acknowledged earlier, like it's a situation
I
where
agree.
Marshawn never acknowledged any of this stuff, so I can't put it on him. But for all the people who, you know, think he's a hero, I think it might be for the wrong reasons. You know?
Yeah,
here's my thing.
man,
Let me
listen.
weigh in on this.
Shout out to all my real Africans.
I just want to say this.
No doubt.
In the words of the great hero Latrell Sprewell, man, he got to feed his family, man. So,
He gotta put food on his family.
he got to put food on his family, man. So at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, Marshawn got to eat, right? And like B. Austin said, man, like I don't know who he's rebelling against, but he never said he didn't want to make no money, man. So go ahead and make your chicken. You do what you got to do.
Revolutionaries don't gotta be poor.
In terms of our conversation, I understand both sides of that. But Marshawn has never once came out. All these things are being put on him. He's never once called himself a revolutionary. He's never once even bragged about what he does in the community. He never once said he was a role model.
Talk about it.
He just does what he
Yeah,
does.
he doesn't even talk
He's just
about it.
Marshawn. And the fact of the matter is,
Jimmy,
the fact of the matter is, he could be all those things. Like, you know, people have this thing in their head, right? If you you know, do well in the community, if you're a revolutionary, if you're a freedom fighter, that you know that you're just that way 24/7. Like you don't like to fornicate or get money or do all these other things. You know what I mean? Like nobody is one way 24/7. Marshawn is doing nothing but being Marshawn. The fact of the matter is, us as fans and human beings put all kinds of labels on him. So go get your money, champ.
right. And he runs and he just rolls with it, sits back, doesn't confirm or deny. He just lets you roll with it. But I will say this. My man came to the podium with some 1990 De La Soul African beads and a red, black, and green African pendant and said, shout out to all my real Africans. That's all I needed to hear.
He could just be the biggest troll in the world. Like he could
be playing us off. He could be playing us with that.
But at the end of the day, the one thing you said is true. He's never confirmed or denied anything. People put him in all these boxes, but he's never said what box he's in. He's just being Marshawn.
And then there's certain segments of the population and media that play to them that say he's a thug because he will not do interviews and he has locks. He's a thug.
Which is that's the most hilarious thing ever. Like, do they know what real thugs do? Like
they don't.
Being a thug?
They don't. It's a word that's being thrown around too loosely in mainstream America. Because thugs don't, you know,
because they can't say nigger. They say thug.
That's pretty much what it is. Because real thugs put other kind of work in there. We don't even want to talk about.
Yeah, Aaron Hernandez is a thug. But listen, last thing real quick, and I just want to get you guys' thoughts real quick on this because, you know, after Jim give the birthday shout outs, we got to get to David West from collegefootballextra.com, you know, about a combine recap. But right now, I want to ask you guys about a story, and this speaks to what B. Austin always talks about with competitive greatness. And this is girls' high school basketball. A pair of high school basketball teams in Tennessee, they both got pulled from the postseason for trying to lose a game on purpose, basically to avoid the top-ranked team in the tournament and improve their chances of advancing to the state tournament. So I guess this is the type of playoffs where you have a loser's bracket. You can lose and still be, you know, in it. So one team, Riverdale, which was the state champion in 2013 with a 58 straight, game winning streak. And Smyrna, they were both fined $1,500 each and placed on probation for a year by their high school association. They were both trying to lose the game so they can avoid playing Class AAA champions. I forgot the name of the other school. But, one of these teams was the defending state champion that had a 58-game winning streak, and they're trying to lose purposely in order to avoid facing a team that I guess everybody's afraid of.
They playing the Monstars?
They said they had intentional turnovers off various violations, intentional missed free throws. The referee actually had to stop play at one point to order the coaches not to make a travesty of the game because a Smyrna player was about to shoot at the wrong basket. So what do you guys think of this? Because everybody.
Let's get that out of the way early.
A coward dies 1,000 deaths, yo.
Yo. I couldn't have said that better myself. A coward dies. These were high school girls there?
These were high school girls. And the narrative out there because, we saw the whole Jackie Robinson West thing where we could conveniently put it on the coaches. In this case, the coaches probably told them to do it. But my thing is, the girls bought into this, and they were trying their hardest to make a mockery of the game, shooting on the wrong basket, intentional turnovers.
I feel as though they should receive the treatment that criminals receive in the Philippines. There's no way. To me, I'm a little bit biased because basketball is almost a part of my religion. So to disrespect the game like that, I don't understand intentional losing. I don't understand bullying, and I don't understand intentionally losing something that you set out to play in. Now, the coach deserves to be flogged, and I hope that he never coaches anything ever again. I hope that he doesn't sit at a spades game in a spades tournament and is allowed to offer advice, let alone any organized sports with children. I think he's the lowest scum of the earth. But as you pointed out, that these young ladies are ages at least 15 to 18, and they're old enough to be conscious of the decisions they're making somewhere in their mind, heart, spirit, whatever. It has to bother your conscience. You have to stand up to your coach and say, look, I got ovaries because I don't got balls, but I got ovaries. I can't do this. No, I can't do that. I cannot.
My point is this, I agree with B. Austin. The coaches of both teams, they both should be waterboarded. Because the thing about high school sports, even outside of the competition, it's supposed to teach you a lot of things in terms of life. What are you teaching them in the long run when you're telling them to lose? I think about and we live in a time now where you got half of the NBA tanking their seasons for draft picks. But at the end of the day, right, I think about Hoosiers and all these great high school stories of the underdog story, and it's I just don't understand this. What are you teaching these kids? Because outside of just the X's and O's, the winning and losing, are you teaching them that you can be strategic to win? I mean, you duck somebody. That's cowardice. I just don't understand that because sports to me is much more than the score of the game. You see what I'm saying? So to me, that's the egregious part of it. And the coaches
for one of these teams, you're the defending state champions. What are you ducking people for in the first place? But I don't understand it, but yeah, I don't even get it. And to Jimmy's point about the NBA, it's funny that half the league is tanking for draft picks in an era where lottery picks don't even give you the same type of impact that they used to. So it's once in a while now. It used to be the number 1 through 5 pick in NBA draft. At least 2 to 3 of those guys were going to be immediate stars on your team. Now, not so much. How you prove that, Dev.
Let me ask you right now, who was the top 5 picks in last year's draft? Can you even tell me? Wiggins?
I could. Take a second. It'll take a second, but I could. I mean, you have Wiggy, Jabari Parker. Yeah, it's I think Randall went 5th. Yeah, Wiggy, Jabari Parkins, and Randall's hurt.
What I'm saying,
Wiggins is balling. Jabari's hurt.
You probably could tell me the '96 draft class better than you could tell me last year's draft class.
I might be able to tell you the whole joint '96
That's
because
my
there
point,
was a lot
the
of
impact
stars
these
that
players
came out of
made.
there. Yeah.
Impact these players made were so great, but and that's the thing. So I just don't understand, especially when you look at it on a high school level, because that's where the real teaching goes on. You know what I mean? Like, what are you teaching these girls at the end of the day? Like, I couldn't imagine any big time college coach though. I couldn't imagine Gino Auriemma saying, "Listen, we're gonna lose this, so we can go in a tournament this way." I just don't like. You're teaching these girls about life, and what are you doing?
Okay, no doubt. All right, Jim. Well, let everybody know who's having a birthday. Let's give some birthday shout outs right quick so we can get to David West of collegefootballextra.com about some combine talk.
Already. And the birthdays are brought to you by Digital Extreme Technologies. Do you or your business need a custom website? Well, for dynamic, professional, and most of all, affordable custom website solutions, you need to visit Digital Extreme Technologies. No need to break the bank for an effective online presence. Top quality, results-driven websites at incredibly affordable prices. Listen, you can put something on it. Financing options are available. Visit digitalextremetech.com or call 267-205-4203. And if you want a discount, tell them you heard about them from War Room Sports.
It's my birthday! Yay!
As Dev has called him for the last 20 years, the unopened toolbox. Was that the name you gave him?
Yeah.
Tim.
Or
The
no,
lock
the lock toolbox. The lock toolbox.
Oh, the lock toolbox. That's what it is, the lock toolbox.
Tim the Toolman Thomas.
It turns 38 years old. Marshall
Bum
Faulk,
man.
one of the greatest running backs in NFL history, turns 42.
Marshall.
Watch the NFL documentary on Marshall Faulk. Like, when you hear people talk about him, they talk about how, like,
One of
he's
the
like the only player.
greatest Marshall Falcon running backs ever.
They were talking about how he knew everybody's placement on the field on every play, offense and defense. Crazy. Anyway,
He seemed like
Wesley.
when him and Peyton were in the same backfield, the IQ level in that backfield had to be like out of this
Peyton
world.
said it was the smartest player he ever played with. He said Marshall taught him how to read defenses, playing running back. And even his coaches said that. His coaches said he knew the playbook better than them. I'm like, yo. But anyway, but that's why he was able to be such a great receiver as well. Shout out to Marshall Faulk, because his name never gets mentioned. We talk to great running backs of all time.
Yo, he was a better
Wesley
quarterback
Walls.
than Donovan.
Wesley Walls turns 49. Rolando Blackman turns 56. Shout out to @CaseyMac38 on Twitter. He says a couple other birthdays. Alonzo Highsmith, an Olympic runner. Sonia Richards Ross. So those are the birthday shout-outs. You said you love her. Yeah, B. Austin loves the track chicks, specifically the Jamaicans. But anyway, we like to give a nice big warm salute to all these folks on their birthdays.
It's my birthday! Yay!
All right, I'm going to let you guys know how you get in touch with us. And right on the other end of that, we're going to have some hot topics and some NFL Combine talk with David West of collegefootballextra.com, Screen Team. You guys can check out our website, warroomsports.com. While you're there, take your time. Be sure to sign up for the War Report. That's our newsletter. Click on the Contact Us tab to send a message about our company, our show, and inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities. For general inquiries, you can click that Contact Us tab and send that message will come to our email address. While you're browsing the site, make sure you click on the Memorabilia tab, buy some War Room Sports merchandise. Click the blog tab, read the latest sports articles in the All's Fair in Sports and More blog. Then you can click the respective icons and tabs to like our Facebook page, to follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our iTunes podcast, to watch our webcast, to listen to our radio network, and download our free War Room Sports mobile app to get everything I just mentioned right there in your pocket. Join the JW Philly Realty chat room right now during the show, blogtalkradio.com/the War Room. To enter the chat room, just sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio. If you don't have one, or if you don't want one, you can sign in through your Facebook or Twitter accounts. And while you're at it, be sure to click follow so you can get updates and reminders about the show every week. We'll be taking questions and reading posts from Facebook, Twitter, and the chat room during the show. But if you want to call in and speak with us, the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline will be open right after our guest is off the line. That number is 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. But if you're listening from your phone, Just make sure you press 1 if you want to talk.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Jamel Hill, the Hers from His and Hers on ESPN2, and you are in the War Room on the War Room Sports Podcast Network.
Yes, you are. So let's get in some hot topics. And Jimmy, you want to let everybody know who Hot Topics are brought to the good people by?
Absolutely. If your schedule is too hectic to read as much as you want, try audiobooks and kick back and let someone else do the reading for you. Here's where you go. audibletrial.com/warroomsports. You can get you a free audiobook. Listen, you don't have to keep the service, but audibletrial.com/warroomsports lets you try the service out by giving you a free audiobook. Everyone knows that I'm a huge reader, and this helps me keep up with reading a lot of things. And you can read everything from business books. I read a lot of real estate and business books, a lot of sports biographies. Anything you're into, you can find on Audible. A lot of these movies that are coming out, the books are always better, and the audio books are better as well. So audibletrial.com/warroomsports to get a free book.
All right. And on the line with us now, we have draft expert from collegefootballextra.com, David West, joining the show for the first time. David, how are you, man?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me on this evening.
Hey, no,
D-West.
thank you. Thank you.
By the way,
let's get
earlier.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Earlier, you had mentioned Marcus Smart was the 6th overall pick in the NBA draft this year.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and Marcus Smart, basically, the Celtics just picked up another point guard because he wasn't really cutting it. So it further makes our point. Like, people are tanking, in a league where your top picks, they aren't that immediate impact player that we used to see back in like the 90s and before that. But let's get right into it, into your specialty. The NBA Combine, the NFL Scouting Combine has come and gone. David, what were some of your biggest takeaways from the Combine? Was there anybody who stood out unexpectedly? Did anything happen that would cause you to make any drastic changes to your draft board?
Well, there was a whole bunch of issues that I saw. Just first of all, I'm going to talk about positions really quick. I still think the defensive backs, the safeties weren't quite living up to par. The linebackers really didn't have a good week, and the tight ends were very weak as well. But there's some guys in each group that actually stood out. The running backs showed that they're very deep this year, and the secondary, like corners, are definitely deep this year. Ali Marpet from Harvard College is still continuing to move up draft boards. At the beginning of the year, a lot of experts had him in the 6th round. He's helped himself all the way from the Senior Bowl on my board from a 3rd-round pick, and now I have him as a 2nd-round grade. He had a great combine. He was very strong in the bench press. He had a 4.98 40-yard dash. We've had teams like the Pats, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Eagles talking to him. So he's making a strong case. The Division III standout is really moving up draft boards really quick. Another guy that stood out at the Senior Bowl was David Johnson. He also capitalized on another good week at the Combine from Northern Iowa. The Ravens, the Bills, and the Giants have spoke with him. He's a guy that's really quick on his feet. He's 6'1", 232. He's a lot bigger, and those teams are looking in new direction for a running back. So he's made his case heard. I moved up Cameron Irving of Florida State. He's played offensive tackle, offensive guard, and he's played center this last season at FSU. He's showing his versatility. He looked outstanding in drills. And, I wasn't really looking at his 40-yard dash, but from a technique standpoint, Cameron Irving was outstanding. And Danny Shelton definitely made his case to be the best defensive tackle in the draft class. There were some doubts going in if he was actually the real deal. The Senior Bowl, he showed up and was, a late 1st round, but now he's moving into a 1st-round contention. And I've got other guys, but I'm going to break for a second and see if you guys had any questions about those guys.
Well, not those guys in particular. Of course, we were going to ask you what everybody out there wants to know, the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft. Did you see anything, did you see anything that surprised you with the whole Marcus Mariota versus Jameis Winston, who are both vying for that number 1 pick? Did you see anything that changes your mind about how you thought about them? Like, who did you think was the better prospect in the first place?
Well, overall, I think the better prospect was definitely Jameis. He's more pro-bound. Marcus has more experience, but, Marcus's abilities, he had a great week. He answered the right questions. Jameis seemed to be laid back. He wasn't nearly as explosive on the drills per se, but he threw the ball a lot better than Marcus. And I think that's what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be looking at more so than a guy that's mobile. I think that Jameis is a guy that fits the Bucs franchise a lot better than somebody like Marcus. In a standpoint of who had a better week, it's so neck and neck. You can say Jameis interviewed very well. He gave very confident answers. Some could say cocky, but, I'm not going to go and say that. I just think that he really had the right answers. There were some issues I think a lot of people are looking past. And I think Marcus and Jameis are still 1 and 2, but I think Jameis right now still has a little bit of an edge over the Heisman Trophy winner.
Okay, because, I actually saw some reports during the week that was really complimenting Jameis Winston's football knowledge. And, not that I was, extremely surprised, but the way people were talking about him was a little bit surprising. So, I just had to ask you about that because we had heard some good things coming from the combine about Jameis Winston.
Yeah. They said IQ-wise, he was reminiscent of Peyton Manning, which is a high level of praise for that young man. His understanding of concepts, offensive concepts, even looking at the X's and O's on a board with foreign language. And when I say foreign language for our listeners, I'm talking about if you have the same play, similar personnel package, but it's a different offense, they've got different terms and languages for it. He can pick up on things like that. And they say he has a photographic memory. So, I was impressed hearing that. Again, that's just what scuttlebutt, that's what you're hearing. But there was enough people repeating that it made an impression with me. I didn't realize that, people thought that highly of the IQ.
And Jameis was definitely one that, as you said, he definitely showed up in the classroom. A few NFL Network guys really were high on him, talking about his IQ, that he was very smart about what he was saying. He's very good in the film room. And a lot of NFL executives have also been saying that the doubts of him learning an NFL offense have kind of subsided enough to know where he's going to actually make an impact going forward. And he's not going to be nearly as far behind as people believe, even though he's still very young. I think that he eats a lot of scouts and NFL executives that he can handle an NFL playbook from day one and make the right throws.
Okay, so before we get you out of here, do you have any more players that you think may have earned their way into maybe an unexpected draft spot due to a great combine workout?
Well, Justin Cox of Mississippi, the corner, Mississippi State, the corner, he was a 4th-round grade on my board. He had an outstanding week in drills. He's very fluid in the hips. He played the ball well. I moved him up to a 2nd-round grade, a late 2nd-round pick. Eli Harold of Virginia, he moved up the boards a lot this week. He was a borderline 2nd-round pick. Not my board per se. He's still a 2nd round, but a lot of executives have moved him into a late 1st round. Teams that need pass rush, they're going to take a hard look at him. A tackle pairing that might get late 1st round looks, Jake Fisher and Eric Flowers of Miami, 2 guys that really helped themselves, performed well. Fisher was very outstanding in the athletic sense. He also performed very well in the drills, and he interviewed all the questions very well. Both of those guys are going to be moving into the late 1st round for me, and I think some NFL teams might take him late in the 1st round. Wes Saxton of South Alabama, the tight end, he was a 6th round grade on my board. He showed a lot of athleticism. athleticism this week, and he blew away probably the best tight end numbers this week. Now I'm not looking strictly into that, but he showed soft hands. He's got upside that NFL executives like. Wes might be a third-round grade on some boards. Personally, I moved him up to a 4 because I think he has something to work with, but he's going to have to work on his blocking going forward. But, look to him like a Ladarius Green type, Ladarius Green that plays for the San Diego Chargers. That's the kind of upside that Wes Saxton possesses. And last but not least, I think Darian Waller, Georgia Tech standout. He was a 6th-round grade on my board. I moved him up to a 3rd-round grade simply because he had a great week. He caught the ball really well, and I think someone's going to just drool over his intangibles because he's 6'6", and someone's going to take a chance on him simply because he ran blistering fast 40, and someone's going to really take a chance early on him. So I think those are some guys that really helped themselves this week.
All right. Well, David, wow, thank you very much.
The Underwear Olympics.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of guys had some good weeks that might move them up some boards. Before we get you out of here, let everybody know where they can find you. Are you on Twitter, website? Let everybody know. Do your commercial real quick before you go.
Well, you can find me in so many different places. I am a key interviewer on NFL Draft War Room. I do interviews with draft prospects every night. Last night I had Christian Covington of Rice on my show. That's one place that I do work with. I do work with Brett Purdue for College Football Extra. I'm doing all the draft content. I'm on Twitter at DRW Scouts. I have a picture. I'm with, I believe my picture up there is right now with EJ Manuel from the Senior Bowl from a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm also on Facebook, David West. Also, I moderate Miami Dolphins Draft Experts. That's a page I started a few years ago that I still work with a little bit. So those are the few places you can find me. But I'm on Twitter all the time, so hit me up on there.
All right, we'll do. And everybody out there, you can hit David up at any of those places he just said. David, we look forward to talking to you as the draft approaches. So thank you so much for coming on tonight, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
G. West, hold the Indiana Pacers down.
All right, that's David West, everybody. NFL Combine talk. Man, I'm telling you, the life of an NFL scout, draft expert, those guys really do their homework.
I'm gonna be honest, and usually my brothers make fun of me because I actually do watch the Underwear Olympics and reminisce, but this year was quite disappointing in terms of linebackers. I got a chance to watch the D-line, the linebackers, the wideouts and quarterbacks, and running backs. I didn't see the DBs, which was a little disappointing.
I know that's
I would say
position.
I would say 70% of the linebackers in this year's draft class were trash. I don't know what it was. It was like they did not prepare. I'm saying like they didn't understand the drills. Like they weren't they did this their back pedal and playing the ball and getting out to the flat to pick it off. Their footwork was sloppy. They were tripping. The hips were tight. It was like no one took the draft seriously and worked through those particular drills. It was pretty sad. It was bad.
It doesn't matter, man. As long as you got like my man Sonny Weaver Jr. running your team, then he'll weed through all that and find the best players. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, y'all ever see that movie Draft Day?
I was just watching it again the other day.
My man Kevin Costner, Sonny Weaver Jr. man made it happen, man. You know what I'm saying? He flipped that one pick. You know what I'm saying? And a couple picks in the first round, man. So, for those who have never seen that movie, go see that movie because what I realized about that and between trying to watch these combines is we all know that winning a championship, it takes a complete team effort. I'm talking about from upstairs to every person on the team. But there's a lot to that. I see dudes that draft well in fantasy and be like, I can run a team. No, you can't. Stop it.
Nah. Nah, they're not even
It was
dealing with
mad-
salary cap issues.
It was,
And,
it was mad stressful. Yo, I was watching that like y'all wouldn't even want that job. Yo, it's mad stressful.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is the fact that you referenced that movie. Yo, the what he did that draft night actually happened by mistake, because remember after he did that, he picked, the linebacker, and that was going to be it. But then I don't think he understood that him passing on the dude was going to start making other teams afraid of him. He thought it was it. And then he realized that the second team passed, and then the third team passed, and then his light
just
bulb
like
came
real life.
on. Like, yo, I can do something with this. Like,
Hey,
So,
Dev, just like in
yeah.
real life, he took advantage of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Duh. Dag.
They even get played in
Jacksonville,
Hollywood.
even in the movie. Yo, they got played by Cleveland though.
Yo, that's
Nobody respects Jacksonville.
All right, but there was some, sticking with the NFL. There were some notable NFL cuts this week. Most notable, I think, AJ Hawk, the linebacker from Green Bay, and Reggie Bush, running back Detroit Lions. The Eagles actually cut Todd Herremans today. Y'all got any thoughts on this? I know B. Austin, his thoughts on Reggie Bush. He didn't think he's that good anyway. So, any surprise you got?
As I look back over his career, he's put together a respectable NFL career. He didn't turn out to be the superstar that people thought, but he came and he did his job. Fast dude. He had a little wiggle, could stick his foot in the ground, as they say.
Decoy.
But yeah, great decoy.
That's
but,
probably the most important.
I wasn't
part of his
surprised.
game.
I wasn't surprised by the cut of Reggie Bush, because if you look at his production and Joquay Bell or whatever his name is, Reggie was on the way out of the door for $5 million a season at darn near 30, if he's not 30 already. He there's too much money tied up into him, so they get about $1.8 million back to the cap by cutting him. Made perfect sense. AJ Hawk, in a lot of people's estimation, is a disappointment. I think he's put together a pretty decent career. He's been an above average middle linebacker, not great like everybody expected a top 10 or top 5 pick to be. But again, another guy who's on the other side of 30 and isn't enough of a standout to justify the $8 million a year salary that he had. So they had to get rid of him to get about $4 or $5 million back against the cap. So they figure they can fill those shoes. And then with Clay Matthews moving inside a little bit this year, that hastened them getting AJ out of town. Todd Herremans, he's old, period, point blank, and it's showing.
Yeah.
So that's my take on those cuts.
The whole Reggie Bush thing, for me, it was hard for him to stay healthy this year as well.
Right. He only had 70 carries.
His first year in Detroit was, pretty decent, but yeah, I can understand why some of these moves get made. I mean, a lot of them, it's basically you're weighing the financial versus the production that you're getting back. And Reggie Bush, for somebody who was never looked at to be the most durable of running backs, you do have to look at that with the investment that you just quoted. I think it was a move that they probably had to make.
You know where I gained respect for Reggie? When he went to Miami and he said, I'm going to be an every down back. I'm going to get 1,000 yards. And he went out and did it. I respected him for that. I respected him after that. Not as a great or anything like that, but I respected him.
Yeah, but 1,000 yards though. What did
for
he?
Him,
I got to look it up to see what he ended up with that particular year. But
1,200, nothing spectacular.
But see, the thing is, he's been fighting against his his college output his entire career, because point blank, he's one of the greatest college players I've ever seen play. The stuff he did on the collegiate level, it should be illegal. So he had to fight that reputation coming into the league. He's not great at all, but he's had a solid career. Sort of like Ricky Williams. Ricky Williams wasn't great, but he had a solid career. But
I think Ricky Williams
actually, I
Ricky
disagree
made
with
the
that.
argument.
Ricky had way more.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Ricky eventually started to make the argument of greatness. Not
A
greatness
touching
on
but again, when you weigh that against what he did at Texas, the stuff he did at Texas, was legendary.
Watch this.
He was
Jimmy.
My man was on some dope
Jimmy,
Walker.
Did you know?
What's that?
Did you know statistically that Ricky Williams is a top 25 back ever? I had no idea. I didn't know that until last
I
week.
did know that.
So
I
it's
did
not
know
like
that.
it's common.
I did know that.
I didn't know that.
Because
He's over
Because
10,000 yards.
When he came back with the Dolphins, he had a couple good seasons, and even one good season with the Ravens. But what I'm talking about is coming out of college, the stuff he did in college. He's one of the top maybe 3 or 5 running backs of all time in college. So it's not even a comparison. Sometimes these guys, like even with the A.J. Hawk on a different level, he was so dominant at Ohio State that like some people now look at him as a failure. When you like you said, he's an average to above average middle linebacker. He's not great, but compared to what his expectations were, sometimes
They have the battle against collegiate production, but I also think when you examine Ricky against, and I got your point, I understand your point. When you compare Ricky to Reggie, Ricky way outdid Reggie. Even smoking, even with all the smoke breaks he took, he way outdid. So imagine what he would have done if he hadn't.
I mean, without the smoke breaks, he may have never done that because he came back a lot more productive after the smoke break. So the smoke break probably is what made him refocus. So I wasn't comparing the two, but I'm talking about like how people look at them. No one will ever say that Ricky Williams is one of the greatest running backs ever. But let's talk college football and look at his production in college. It was out of this world.
No doubt. See, Ricky, that first year in Miami was like crazy because he went for like 1,800 plus yards, but like you said, like his production in every other year wasn't great. It was just steady. So yeah, we wouldn't call him great, but he definitely he the way his career started, and then him being all aloof and then leaving the game. Like I didn't even expect Ricky Williams to be a 10,000 yard back, but
I definitely did.
Yeah, but we know Reggie Bush will land somewhere. It may not be in the capacity that he wants it to be. It might not be that every down back thing, but he might. Right. He's always going to have a role on somebody's team as a third down back.
He has those pictures of Kim. He got those pictures of Kim, so he can leverage those.
Just so he can pass. Oh yeah.
Any offensive player that goes out, everybody says, bring him and put him in Chip system. Chip will turn him into a 20 touchdown guy.
Chip can do it. Yeah. Let me get a month of training and put me in Chip system. I'll be an all pro.
No comment.
Chip the genius.
So we got some callers this time in, yo.
All right, because I want to talk about this whole alleged Des Bryant thing. But yeah, let's go to the phone lines real quick. We got the homie Tobias. Roll damn Tide. What's going on, Tobias?
Roll Tide. What's going on? And I got to say is that what the hell is Blake Sims doing at the combine? He might as well go get a regular job. But
UPS is
go get a regular job. Hey, a couple of things real quick before I get on my Buccaneers. Hopefully picking Jameis Winston. Yeah, I know the Chicago Bulls are done. Derrick Rose got hurt again. We're done. Yes, it's over. But and that was totally unwatchable last night. All right. And like I hear everybody now talking about like Kevin White for West Virginia say, oh, he's better than Amari Cooper. And I think Kevin White could be a good player. But the problem is a lot of people are falling to those combine numbers, and the only thing I say is Amari Cooper caught 115 plus balls from Blake Sims. That's all I got to say. And, when they knew he was a target.
Tobias,
you're right, because I've seen Kevin White.
Yeah. That 4.3 got people delusional if they think he's better than Amari. Amari could run a 4.7, and his route running and hands and the way his game is complete. Man, Amari Cooper, an NFL wide receiver right now today with no work.
Yeah,
Kevin White.
I'm starting to see Kevin White on draft boards as the first receiver taken, and I was kind of puzzled by that. But you guys know how the Underwear Olympics they take that real seriously.
He's just a fast
and
dude.
I just said. And Amari ran a 4.4 now. All he'd like to do was like my boy Jameis Winston, But
yeah, no,
but you know what? Now I'm a Buccaneers fan, and my thing is, don't be stupid. Take Jameis. But the thing is, everyone's talking about these personal issues. And when I started thinking about it, in my opinion, it's pretty much are these people thinking he raped the girl or not? That's what it's all about, really. Do they think he raped her? And the man been investigated numerous times, found, no charges found. You could say what people say, whatever, but the man hasn't even been charged from it. Unlike this dude from Louisville here who went ham last weekend. And my thing is some of the other stuff it's childish little, young guy stuff. And they keep trying to compare him to Manziel. And I'm like, last time I checked, Jameis Winston ain't had multiple alcohol issues. He didn't have underage drinking being arrested for this stuff. And it looks like he's a better worker and an overall better talent. And I'll say this, Lovey, if you want to keep your job, you can't afford to take Marcus Mariota, because when you think of Jameis Winston, you think of clutch. Yeah, he may be a bonehead sometimes growing up, but he has clutch moments. You think of that stuff. When was the last time Marcus Mariota had a clutch moment?
Yeah, so with Oregon, it's either they're front running and they win, or that's it. They don't really come from behind to do anything.
Yeah, I look at this draft, though, and it's funny because I hear you, everything you're saying about Jameis. It all sounds good. But the fact that we're deciding between Jameis and Marcus Mariota is sad in itself to me.
It's not even close. Because to be honest, when you look at them, it ain't even close, to be honest with you. People look at numbers, but one is that system, and two, you got to look at, one, Jameis' team wasn't as good last year. I've been saying it all year. He may have thrown some picks, but Matt Ryan threw like almost 20. And by the way, everybody worrying about Jameis and the alleged sexual assault. Ben Roethlisberger had 2 in the same year, and nobody's messing with him still. Talking about he's a character issue.
Super Bowl rings, that's why.
Yeah.
Rings talk and get you off the hook.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Last point, like about the whole Mariota thing, Jim. Like, this is why I've been trying to talk Eagles fans off the ledge. Like, it's a lot of Eagles fans out there that's okay with giving up the farm to get this guy because they're again, it's all about chip system. He knows chip system. This guy's never played in the NFL, so it doesn't matter what system he knows because the system is tweaked for NFL type talent. Now, whether or not he knows the system, like, to me, is not important. Like, if you're gonna give up the house, and I don't think this is a draft where there's a quarterback in the draft that you need to do that for. But okay, say if this was the Andrew Luck draft and they were going to try to trade up and do that, I would. If you're going to do that, you do that for the best quarterback prospect out there, not a system player, because there's no telling if Chip Kelly's going to be around for a long time. So let's say they give up a bunch of stuff, get Mariota. The Eagles are bad for the next 3 years. Chip Kelly gets fired. Now you're stuck with a system quarterback when there's a coach coming in that's going to run a different system, and you've reset your organization once again. So if you're going to go with quarterbacks, go with the best overall quarterback prospect, not a guy just because he can run and you think he's good for this particular gimmicky system. Yeah, exactly. Take the best quarterback available. So when your coach does get fired, you might still be in good shape, with a guy who can be a chameleon and run different systems.
The crazy,
Tobias,
thing, Tobias, I know
Tobias,
we're talking about your Bucks.
man.
Yeah, thanks.
We talking about. We appreciate it. Just stay on line.
We talking about Tobias's Bucks, but the reality is, even for our Eagles, Dev, like, there's this misconception that the system that Chip Kelly employs and runs in Philadelphia is the same system that is run at Oregon, and that's a misconception. That's not true. That's not true. They don't run the same. They have a few of the same plays, and they mimic the pace. Outside of that, the offenses are different. And Jameis Winston, you brothers are gonna know what I'm saying when I say this. Y'all gonna know what I'm saying when I say this. But I've been waiting a long time to see what I think I see in Jameis Winston, and I think we finally got us one. Actually, that's a big statement for me. You know what I'm talking about, Dev. I think we
do.
finally.
And that is a big statement, though, because Jameis, he still does have to work through the quote unquote maturity issues. I hope he gets that together because he could be the one.
Off the field, he's a Richard head. off the field, he's a young Richard head, but I can give him that based on how young he is. He seems real happy-go-lucky. He's gregarious. He's got the charisma, and some of that
But even
weighs in.
Even for his age, though, B, you don't generally see that from the quarterback position, though.
Yeah,
they're usually the most mature guys in the room, and the ones who aren't.
He's
are
not.
the ones who didn't make it.
He's a happy-go-lucky dude, but the three throws that I keep going back to repeatedly, the outside hat when you're standing and you take the snap and you can throw the ball from the opposite hash to the outside sideline 20 yards down the field on a rope, that's a 40 to 45-yard pass on a rope with accuracy, and he can do that. I don't know it. I've never seen Marcus Mariota do that. The touch pass down the seam to the tight end. Real quick, hold on, Jimmy. The touch pass down the seam to the tight end beyond the linebacker, but in front of the safety, that's a touch throw. And that dig route at any depth, those three throws are NFL throws in any system, and Jameis has those. That's big,
I was about to
man.
say I've seen Mariota make the seam throw to the tight end down the field, but when I saw him make it, the tight end was wide open and he still had to turn around to catch the ball. And then
Jameis dropped that thing right in there.
I'm rooting for Jameis Winston to do well, but all I know is like he's also entertaining and comical because in that tournament and they lost to Oregon by 1,000,000 points. My man got up on the podium and was like, "Y'all want to keep it real with yourselves? That game could have went either way." I'm like, y'all lost by 1,000 points. What are you talking about? I want to keep it real with yourselves. That game could have went either way.
But let's go back to the Digital Extreme Tech hotline because we got another call on the line. We got Naj calling in. What's going on? You in the war room?
Ain't nothing, man. What's going on with y'all, man?
Pretty
good. Hey, ain't nothing, dude. Good conversation. Look, I guess I'll hit on a couple of points I've heard since I've been listening. The first one, the cuts you guys talked about, that's kind of indicative of the NFLPA getting their ass kicked at negotiation once again. So we got this rookie deal to where rookies aren't getting that huge. Well, rookies aren't getting that huge money that they used to get anymore. But now you got a thing to where every year we're going to see veterans scattered amongst the NFL, veterans who can still pay. And people kind of planned on cutting them because you know they weren't paying Reggie what they were paying him in 2015-16. So that's kind of how the game is set up now. So the veterans are kind of getting shafted out of a piece of the pie, which they should be obligated to get. Moving to Jameis, you guys are correct on this. I'm glad I'm hearing people talk about this sensibly. Jameis is a once-in-a-decade prospect. He's been through all the quarterback camps as a kid. And to kind of go with what the brother was just saying, this is the first real pocket QB who's been trained to be that, who we've seen come up out the ranks. Because usually a guy plays option and plays whatever all through, JFL and high school and then has to be trained to be a quarterback. Jameis is not an athlete. His 40 time is what we should have expected. He's not an athlete. He's a great QB, though. And, Tampa Bay –
You talking my language, Naj. This is B. Austin. I know you have a lot of arguments with black folks. I can tell already. You have a lot of arguments. You be having them arguments I be having with black folks about the quarterback position and how it's played and how it's taught. Brother, go ahead, man. I just wanted to interject that. Go ahead, Brother Naj.
I don't know. I think we might have lost him.
I agree with what you're saying about Jameis. Like, I'm actually rooting for him to do well. The thing about the quarterback position, which is so tricky, is that at any given time, there's only a handful of good quarterbacks in the league anyway. People always want to, talk about he ain't this and he ain't that. But when you look at the history of the league, there's ever only a handful of good quarterbacks at any given time anyway. It's such a tricky position because so many things factor in it. Jameis could be that guy. But depending upon where he gets drafted, what system he puts in, what pieces are put around him, there's so many variables that go to making, a quarterback great.
Yeah.
So, but I'm rooting for him to do well. So.
I think the pieces are important more so than the system because kind of like the brother was saying, Jimmy, the fundamentals are there for him to play and thrive in any system. That's not to say he'll be elite, and we throw that term around. I'm not saying he'll be elite, but I can easily see him fitting into that group of quarterbacks that's underneath elite just based on the tools that he has And the way you don't have to teach him how to be a quarterback, you just have to teach him to be one in the NFL. A lot of these dudes that we're talking about don't even know how to play quarterback. They're just dynamic athletes.
No, I understand
so you're
that,
teaching them to play the position.
I still think system does make a difference. I mean, suppose he gets drafted by one of these teams that wants him to run the option. Like, that's not his game. And,
but who runs the option consistently in the NFL? For real.
Well,
other than a play package, teams don't really run it. Niners?
Well, I mean, they do. The Niners do. The Niners do.
Yeah, that's one team out of 30. Nobody else does.
Yeah, but if you think about how that's run, what I'm saying is the system does matter. You saying the system doesn't matter at all, when absolutely the system does matter. If you look back at, like, say, you take any quarterback.
Not for a game changer. Not for a game changer who's a real quarterback. I think the system matters more for those athletes or those option quarterbacks who can't play in the pocket. So then they have to be in. But if you got a drop back guy that can read, that's accurate, that understands the defensive concepts in front of him, you can put him in a multitude of systems.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
My point is, all of that matters. When you look at the success of any quarterback in any era, I'm not even talking about just now with all these option quarterbacks and all these athletes trying to play quarterback, quote unquote. I'm talking about throughout the history of the game. You look at quarterbacks who've just been put in various systems. Sometimes systems make a difference. I mean, look at a guy. Let's just take Randall Cunningham for argument's sake. When he got put in the right system, his numbers went through the roof. Systems make a difference. The thing about the quarterback position, which is why it's so tricky, is because there are so many variables that go into success. So I'm actually rooting for Jameis to do well. I think he does have the skill set. Am I worried about the off-the-field stuff? Not as much as some, but I definitely think he has to mature. But look at his age. Because if you look at the trouble he's got into, like, you know, I mean, it's little kid stuff. It's dumb stuff.
Yeah, it's kid stuff.
Yeah,
it's dumb.
But I do want to root for this guy. I want to see him do well. I definitely do. And when you said I think we got one, I think that's the most hilarious thing ever because, you know, I've heard other people say that as well. So that's why I'm rooting for this guy to do well.
Yo,
what do you guys? For real.
What do you guys think of this whole alleged Dez Bryant video that we keep hearing about? Yesterday, the big thing in the news was, you know, there's a video of Dez Bryant doing something that's 5 times worse than Ray Rice. The video is to be released today. Day goes by, nothing released. Now it's just a bunch of speculation. Adam Schefter confirms that he knows about this video, but he's never seen it. So there's really still no proof that it's going on. Now the conspiracy theories are starting to land. And, you know, Dez Bryant is in the middle of negotiations. Maybe they don't want to pay him, so somebody leaks this to maybe scare not the Cowboys, but maybe scare other teams away from wanting to pay him. So, you know, the Cowboys will still get him at whatever price or even with the tag. Like, what could he possibly have been doing that's 5 times worse than Ray Rice? Because I've seen plenty of people speculating on the video. There was an incident at a Walmart a few years ago where a woman was getting dragged, but I kind of think that they proved that that wasn't Dez Bryant. Then they had his mom on a video telling the police about their situation, but we already knew about that. So what the hell can it be? Or is it just a big witch hunt?
Yeah, here's my thing. The way they're describing this tape, now none of us have seen this Dez Bryant tape, but it's supposed to be parallel to the tape of, you know, Kane and O-Dog and Menace. Like, that's the way it sounds according to everyone, based upon this is supposed to be the most explosive tape ever. None of us have seen it yet, but he must be putting in work. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta wait
out there like I got the tape.
Yeah, I don't know what it could be, but I'm kind of leaning towards a typical Jimmy Williams conspiracy theory. I think that someone somewhere doesn't want Dez to come in and his agent to come into that office with Gerald Jones and slam down that Megatron deal and say, this is what we want. Because Dez is poised to ask for Mars, and Gerald might be obliged to give it to him. So I think they want to head that off. And this tape could be, just as Dev said, it could either be, you know, look, we don't want to pay you directly, or it could be to scare off the competition so they can pay Dez reasonably. I'm not sure if this tape really really exists, or if it's really as bad as people are saying it is. But he's going to ask for a lot of money, something to the tune of $15 million a season, with like 40 to 50 guaranteed, and they don't want to pay that. They don't want to pay. They're not Dez Bryant. Not Dez.
The bottom line with the whole Dez Bryant tape, either it doesn't exist, or he's putting in work, Menace to Society style, or he's on the tape getting the velvet tongue from an underage lady. That's the only thing I could think of, that because the way it's being described is like, you've seen all the blogs, like the most explosive tape, 15 times worse than Ray Rice. I'm like, I've seen the Ray Rice.
Could be baby sodomy. Could be baby sodomy.
No, whoa, no Sandusky.
That's all I can think of as worse. I mean, I don't.
All right, man. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait, man. I know. I'm like, let's move it on. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see, man. I keep looking up stuff to see if there was any late breaking news on this, but it's still nothing. It seems like a bunch of speculation to me. And now it's like everything he's done in the past 5 years is becoming new news again, because people are trying to guess and see if they can hit on what this video is pertaining to. Boxing, the mega fight that's about 5-6 years too late is on May 2nd. Floyd Mayweather Jr., Manny Pacquiao, the basketball player. It's on. The frenzy is on. They say the tickets, first of all, the MGM sold out. The hotel sold out quickly, like 15 minutes upon the fight being announced. Tickets, people are saying that the nosebleeds are going for like $5,000. Pay-per-view, I hear the pay-per-view may be about $100 for HD. Like,
record.
Is this fight gonna live up to all of this hype?
Absolutely not.
6 years later. No,
of course not. Absolutely not.
No,
absolutely.
These pay-per-view events rarely do. These pay-per-view events rarely do. I'm looking forward to the fights on the NBC and CBS really this year.
But in this case, Floyd Funny Mayweather has contributed to the reason that this isn't going to live up to it, because styles make fights. We know that cliche, but there's truth to that. 5 years ago, Manny Pacquiao was a different fighter. Could this opportunity rejuvenate him? Could he train like he's never trained before? It's possible. But 5 years ago, I would have given Manny more than a puncher's chance, another cliche, in getting a victory. Now, I feel as though, has Floyd lost a quarter of a step? Maybe. Maybe not. Has Manny Pacquiao lost a step? Yo, Manny Pacquiao has lost a stride, let alone a step. Look at his basketball shot. So, I don't even think that this is Floyd's going to duck all that wild, crazy-ish that Manny's going to try. And Manny might even get caught and get knocked out by a guy that doesn't knock people out other than his women. So it's going to, it could be
shots fired.
This is done. What's going to really happen? The big news here is the money that's going to be made. There's speculation that this fight could bring in between 250 and 300 million, which would set a record by far, in terms of revenue generated and the money that the fighters can make. Even at 40%, I think Manny stands to make over $100 million payday, and Floyd is closing in on 200. So that's the news to me.
Skyview Kev, who's in the chat room, he said hotel tickets are $700. What I heard about, like the ringside tickets, like to even be able to get them, you have to have a $250,000 credit line with the hotel. So it's this event is crazy. I know people are going to Vegas even though they know they won't be in attendance. People are going to Vegas to watch this joint on TV. And
the thing about this is like the economics are the greatest part about this whole fight. The hype for me has been going. I see they're trying to drum it back up, the hype for the fight. But part of me, like, in looking at this whole thing from a macro level, is it's kind of sad.
Roll with us, 'cause you know we got it.
Like, part of this is kind of sad because after this is over with, like, this is the one thing that's been out there this whole time that we talked about for years and we wanted.
And it ain't nothing left.
It's over. Once it's over, like, then what? It's like, then what? Then we don't even have
for the casuals to get hype about.
This is like, it's going to be the apex of boxing and ultimately the death of boxing, because once it's over with, it's like, now what? Bernard Hopkins, the executioner, or if you want to call him the alien, he came out today and he said his prediction is Floyd is going to, kill Pacquiao. He says that the first 6 rounds will be close to even, but after that, he said that after the 6th round, he said Pac-Man will run out of gas and Floyd is going to make an example out of him.
Manny is known for losing a little bit in the tank. Not I don't think because he's in weak condition, but my man throws like 600 punches around. And against Floyd, he going to be trying to hit a ghost and a shadow, and the ghost and the shadow ain't even going to be there. So I can see him running out of gas just from pressing the action so hard.
Well, we just wanted to give our initial thoughts on it. We got until May 2nd to talk about it, so we'll ratchet up the coverage as the fight come on. But I tell you one thing, this is going to be the greatest 24/7 that we've ever seen in boxing history.
Oh, my God, I would pay $100 for that in HD. Like, I would pay for that. Like, to me, that'll be greater than the fight itself, because Floyd is going quote unquote turn up, and Pac-Man is going to try to remain humble. He's going to be over the Philippines getting people fired from their job at Subway because they ain't making sandwich right. You know what I mean? So it's going to be the greatest thing ever, yo.
All right. Well, we're about to get in some NBA talk in a minute. This is sort of NBA because LeBron's involved, but what do you guys think about LeBron he publicly telling colleges to stop recruiting his 10-year-old son? I mean, I personally do think it's something wrong with the system when you're sending letters to a 10-year-old, but in a just a little bit. Like, I'm not going to put it on him because, it might just be a proud dad type thing. But LeBron puts these videos of his son out there for the world to see. So you're kind of indirectly inviting the sharks, to come into the swimming pool, and, and then now that they're coming, you're a little upset about it. But I totally understand as a dad. I would feel some type of way. Well, first of all, he's LeBron James. So, his family is set no matter what they do for the rest of their lives. So I can't say that as a dad, I wouldn't be a little flattered like that people are looking at my son this way at 10 years old. But I think it is a little bit overkill for you to actually reach out and send correspondence to a 10-year-old boy about some basketball that he'll be playing 8 or 9 years down the line. What do you guys think about the fact that they're doing it? And what do you think about LeBron, trying to put a stop to it publicly?
I think it's corny. I think it's corny for the colleges to do it because they're not really doing it to get a commitment from them. I think there's a three-pronged upside for the colleges. Number one, there is just the sensational publicity that they'll receive, which, the 85% will just appreciate the fact that there's a whole bunch of hype around LeBron James and LeBron James progeny. So they're not going to care. The second piece of the upside is the fact that, they are really getting what they feel is a potential prospect, which I've seen the little boy play, and he could taper off and he could end up being, nothing. But what I see in him, he might be better than his pop. Not really, but he's definitely very, very, very good for 9 years old. So they're getting a jump on the gun in terms of talent, which is, it's corny, but if you take the emotion out of it and the principles and morals out of it, as we take them out of everything else in our society today, it does make sense. So there's that upside. And then the last upside is the possibility of LeBron James's son committing to a program. If that chance comes to fruition and he commits at 9, 10, 11 years old, that's something you can market for the next half decade to pull in other recruits because everybody is dumb enough to say, I want to run with LeBron's son, regardless of whether he's good or not. So there's a three-pronged upside to the colleges who have no scruples, or morals.
Ryan Boatwright from UConn. He could. I'm sorry, not from UConn. He's from Connecticut. He committed to USC before he was in high school. Marquette's Matt Carlino received an offer from Arizona while he was in elementary school. And Michael Avery accepted a scholarship from Billy Gillespie when he was at Kentucky back in 2008, and he was an 8th grader. The NCAA handbook says a prospective student athlete is a student who has started classes for the 9th grade. In addition, a student who has not started classes for the 9th grade becomes a prospective student athlete if the institution provides such an individual or the individual's relatives or friends any financial assistance or other benefits that the institution does not provide to prospective students generally. I don't even understand how that's legal. I don't get that. I'm gonna have to do some more research on that. But it's crazy.
Here's my take on the whole thing. As individuals and institutions or businesses or corporations or what have you, we all have this thing where we want to work harder than the next person and get the leg up on the next person. So, I mean, this travels to all facets of life, and you start to see this within the whole analytics movement. People think it's all about outworking and it's doing more than the next to get ahead. So we start recruiting in 11th graders, then it goes to 10th graders. Now we have, like, I was reading something the other day, at the top 5th graders in the country. Like, you have institutions and people doing this kind of work because they're trying to get a leg up on their competition. So, like, I don't know when it stops. And, you know, it's all part of our system as a society. Like, I don't know, like, at what point does it stop? Are we going to start, like, you know, looking at, like, first graders and seeing how they play? Like, when does it stop? Because the bottom line is everyone is trying to get the leg up on everyone else. So, and even those who don't believe in this whole thing, like, there's this TV show, it's called, like, Child Prodigy or something. This goes on with, like, the Ivy Leagues do the same thing from an educational standpoint. They start looking at, you know, talent the same way, do the same type thing. And one of the guys on there was like, you know, even if we don't believe in this morally, if we don't participate, we're left behind because all of our competitors are doing this. So it's like, now if you're not looking at 5th graders or 4th graders, you're behind all the other colleges that are doing this, that are doing their recruiting at this young of an age. But I don't know at what point does it stop. That's the problem.
Yeah. See, now the thing is, like I was telling you, you know, LeBron doesn't like this, supposedly, but, you know, LeBron has millions and millions of Twitter followers. And, you know, last week he tweeted after his son's tournament in Houston, proud of you, son. Great job in Houston and congrats on bringing home first place. And then posted a YouTube video of his highlights. So for me, it's like, okay, you're not directly inviting these people to do what they do, but at the same time, you're putting this information out there for a lot of people. And I ask these questions all the time on social media, like, you know, just with regular people that we interact with every day. And you kind of notice when people maybe on Facebook or something, they're giving congrats or happy birthday or something to their son or to their mother, to somebody that's not even on social media. I never really understood that. Like, you can't tell your son you live with him. You can't tell him that you're proud of him. But, you know, it's probably more things that's from LeBron James that's calculated to further craft his image. Funny, he put out a video, and this is a little bit off topic. I just wanted to tell you guys, I was in the ranked top 5 group the other day on Facebook. Shout out to JT Live at Ranked Top 5 in Chicago. And LeBron put out a video on, I believe it was yahoo.com. They have something called Uninterrupted, one of those mediums. But he was talking to Derrick Rose in the video, wishing him well and all that kind of stuff. And when I said to people, like, somebody's like, oh man, I'm starting to like LeBron more every day. And I was like, that's why he does it, because he knows people feel this way. And I started to go on and tell people how everything is calculated. And, everybody jumped on me. Oh, man, the brother doing something nice. Everybody got to find something bad. And I never said it was bad. A lot of things that people do can be calculated. It can be sincere, but you also want to make sure you get out of it what you can get out of it, which is more endearment from the fans. LeBron James is a brand. And that brand moves a lot of products. So whether he is sincere about things or not, he still calculates things. And this might be one of those things. You got to look, you want to be on social media looking like the great father, and I'm proud of you, son, and this and that. But you're inviting these shots to you.
My thing is this: when you do that, like the whole thing with Derrick Rose, even with your son, even if it's calculated, why is that taken in a pejorative? Like, just because it's calculated doesn't mean that it's not sincere, and it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. If you're doing good and you're doing it for, it's like if you're doing good in the world, but you're doing it for yourself to make yourself feel better, you're still doing good in the world. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like.
Right.
It's like let's say Dr. King did everything he did for his own ego. Doesn't make it any less admirable, because at the end of the day you're doing what you think is right, even if it's calculated. So I don't understand why that's being taken in a pejorative. For one, it's actually smart, because if you're showing someone who can be calculating, as opposed to some of the brothers we've seen go before us who weren't quite calculating and weren't able to have the same power and influence that a LeBron James has. So I told him that. I was like,
Jimmy, in a world of social media, it's almost necessary to do everything in front of an audience, especially when you're a brand as big as LeBron James. I'm sure he really feels bad for Derrick Rose getting hurt again. And I'm also sure that he has Derrick Rose's phone number or can easily get it. So it was calculating. Not to say anything bad about the dude, but everybody took offense. Everybody, brother can't do something. Okay.
Well, if any of those folks are listening, then I'll fall on the sword and I'll take the L for you, Dev, because I think it's corny. And I think that your character really shines and shows by the things that you do behind closed doors and outside of the light. What you do when people aren't watching and aren't going to make a decision about who and what you are is where your character and your morals and your principles really show. If you really feel a way, pick the phone up and call that man. Call that man Derrick Rose, man. Don't
he might
put
have
that
done
out.
that. He might have done that,
funny.
but by putting it out, I don't see the whole negative in it. Like, what's the big deal? He may have called him as well.
Because now all his followers think that they got to post the good acts that they do on Facebook, and it's not really sincere.
But you know what?
Influencing what other people.
This is a group. Listen.
They post on a WorldStar as stuff. So if everybody wants to turn this into a place where we post positive acts, even if we don't mean them, so post the positive stuff.
Even if we don't mean, we're doing good acts that we don't mean.
The ironic thing about the whole situation with me and that group is this is a group because it's a pro Chicago group. So this is usually a group. And I don't even comment that much. I've never commented on a LeBron post because usually LeBron posts in that group are
killing them.
A lot of people. There's a lot of vitriol being spewed at the book. So I think the whole defense of him when I made the comment, I think it had everything to do with the fact that he was saying something nice about their hero. Had I said that and it was LeBron talking about any of their rival teams, players, anything, I don't think I would have gotten the same reaction from the crowd. But it was interesting because after a while, everybody, even after I explained my position, everybody's still, making little comments. It was quite hilarious.
Yeah, but going back to the original point, though, it's one of those things where I like to see brothers who are calculating in terms of where we're at now in sports and society, because you have to be, like you said, in today you have to be calculating. So I'd rather see brothers who seem to have it together and are calculating as opposed to just doing whatever for whatever reason. But in terms of him posting stuff with his son, it's funny because on one hand, he could just be the proud dad and trying to show off his son. Because, we all on social media. We see everybody showing off their kids no matter what it is. I don't know how many report cards
I just have a problem with some of the language. I'm proud of you, son. Who are you talking to? Your son not on Twitter?
No, I've seen so many report cards between Twitter, Facebook, and IG. It was like when report cards came out, everybody posts their kid's report card. And if you're proud of your kid, then so be it. But the whole thing with him complaining, it's funny because I don't know. I can't say this for a fact, but these guys are being recruited at such a young age that he may have had this kind of attention even if he's not for LeBron, but that kind of puts the steroids on it because it is LeBron's son. But he's not the only guy in his class. There's complete websites of the best elementary school players in the country. Really, so it's out of control. It's out of control altogether. But by him having that last name, and the same with D Wade's son was on one of them joints too.
And what's more ironic, though, is there's a photo out of LeBron James sitting next to John Calipari at one of his son's 4th grade AAU games. So it's like you're telling everybody to stop, but you're sitting here chilling because everybody knows how he feels about Calipari. So I think it's either like he's probably telling people stop recruiting him because he going to Kentucky or wherever Calipari is. Yeah. Either that or he's going to Ohio State. So
Calipari, aka King One and Done, he all about that one and done life. He don't even care about even trying to. He tells his recruits, I don't even want you to stay 2 years.
Actually, by the time his son is eligible to play college ball, LeBron probably would have successfully gotten Calipari the head coaching position at Ohio State, gotten Thad Matta out of there so he can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Because LeBron is quote unquote all about home now. So this would be a test. You're going to send your kid to Ohio State, or you're going to send him to Calipari, or you're just going to make Calipari the head coach of Ohio State. Because y'all know he has the power to do that. If LeBron James says, I want to send my son to this school, but John Calipari has to be the coach, then Thad Matta, even all the great things that he's done there, you better start looking for a new job.
So he's out of here. LeBron James might be the most powerful man in the world. I heard sales of Fruity Pebbles went up, and that's not even a Fruity Pebbles commercial.
That's not even. Remember, we talked about that. We was like, I didn't talk about sales going up, but I was like, I guarantee y'all, LeBron is going to have a Fruity Pebbles endorsement or Pulse or whoever makes that sooner or later because he put that cereal in that commercial. And they displayed it prominently in the commercial. Hey, but let's get into some NBA talk. But before we do that, we just want to give our stat of the week. I have one, and I think Jimmy has one. He has a negative stat of the week. Mine is positive, and it's about LeBron James. In Cleveland's last game, he finished the game with 6,142 assists. Not in one game, but he had 11 assists, which took him to 6,142, which makes him the all-time assist leader for forwards. He passed Scottie Pippen, who was sitting at 6,135. So LeBron has dropped the most dimes in NBA history for the position of forward. That kind of seemed expected to me, the way he passes the ball. I never even thought about it. I didn't know how many Scottie had. I don't even know if I knew Scottie was the career leader, but you just assumed that LeBron was going to eventually take over the lead in that statistic. So shout out to LeBron. Jim, you still got a stat that you want to give before we get to the basketball?
Thanks, shout out to John on Facebook. John said there's going to be a whole bunch of kids now trying to get skipped just to start getting recruited. So we'll see. But the stat I had is an interesting stat as well because we all saw what happened the other day, and we're going to talk about this what happened with Rajon Rondo over with Dallas. But my man is averaging right now, and we all know Rondo's a top point guard, he was a top point guard. He's averaging 9 points, 9 and 6 right now is his numbers, 9 and 6. But that's not the statistic of the week. My man, as a point guard in the National Basketball Association, is shooting 29% from the foul line. These are called free throws. They're supposed to be free points. Free throw. He's shooting 29%. He's a point guard. How does your point guard shoot 29% from the foul line?
Jimmy, how does a professional basketball player shoot 29% from the foul line?
29%. That's worse than Shaq.
Come on, Rondo.
Point guard, beloved.
Yeah. And he's always had problems shooting the jump shot and shooting foul shots, but at least the free throws, like Jimmy said, they are free. Like, you have to work on that. You're a professional basketball player, and you are one of the best players when healthy at your position in the league. So what does this say?
Be awesome.
Before you get your opinion, let me do one thing, because we're going to talk about Rondo in 1 second, but let's jump into the NBA wrap. Let's just parlay this right into the NBA wrap, which is brought to you by Fanatics. For the best in your favorite team's merchandise and apparel, shop Fanatics. Shopping Fanatics is easy. Go to warroomsports.com. Click on that Fanatics logo. You can buy NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, and NCAA gear, and you can also buy yourself a Rajon Rondo jersey. Let's talk basketball, gentlemen. All right, let's stay right with Rajon Rondo. He was benched and suspended one game for an in-game shouting match with Rick Carlisle that was allegedly about play calling. Rondo wants to call his plays because he's been allowed to do that the entire time he's been in the NBA. Rick Carlisle doesn't have that. He still calls plays from the bench. So they got into a shouting match. So we saw the one on the court, and allegedly it happened in the locker room after the game. So he was suspended. So, this is what started making people look at his statistics, which is why I saw the 29% from the foul line, and it stood out to me. But, more egregious than that is he's still having the same issues he had since he first got in the league, which is not being able to knock down the open jump shot. So what do you guys think about this whole Rondo fit with Dallas and the whole shouting match? Because when the trade first happened, we all thought it was a positive thing. But now looking at their system and seeing the fit, I'm not so sure. What about you guys?
Well, for me, Jim,
I'm not gonna be.
This isn't the first time that I've ever heard of Rondo being "quote unquote" difficult to coach. Remember when he first started out with the Big Three in Boston when he wasn't a member of the Big Three? You know what I'm saying? He was that guy. He seemed a little more humble because he was the guy like, okay, we have these three superstars on the team, but it depends on what this young guy does to get everybody the ball in the right positions. That, the success kind of depends on that. And then eventually Rondo became the best player on the team. And that's when I started hearing these type of rumblings about his attitude towards coaches. This whole thing with Carlisle is crazy because like you said, Jim, like they had the profanity lace argument on the sideline, the shouting match. And then even after the game, because he was benched for the rest of the game, they went at it again in the locker room. So it's difficult, not even from a basketball standpoint, because I think they can make it work because he's good enough of a player to adapt if he wants to adapt. But it's like, if you and your coach are going through this and you're new, you don't even know each other that well. Like, how do you come back from this? How do they get it together in order to make Dallas, the type of team that they could be going into the Western Conference playoffs? That's my question. How do they get it back after, they obviously don't like each other?
I think grown men handle things in a grown man manner. I think they got a little out of hand. I think this is getting blown out of proportion just based on the fact that everybody has a camera and the ability to be a contributing reporter. We got to talk about it. Like, there's no question we have to address it. But Rondo is an eccentric. He's from all accounts, he's a highly intelligent, poor shooting, great passing, great rebounding, great defensive point guard. And, he has a way about him in terms of running his team, and he's hard-nosed in his personality. I think things will smooth themselves over. There's too much talent on the Mavs for this to be a hindrance for them, long term. So I think the fit is good. I think the fit is really good. As far as his shooting, at one point I thought that he was going to improve upon that. This far into his career, I think this is it, man. Like, I don't think he's truly a 29% free throw shooter, but I don't think we'll ever see him above like 65. I don't think I just don't think he has the ability to shoot at his size. His hands are gigantic. I think
go from 29 to 65. That's a great.
What'd you say?
Increase. I said
no. I mean
career
wise. This 29 is just his season average. I mean, as a career, like career wise, he's in the 50s. I don't see him improving beyond 60, 65%. He just can't shoot. He doesn't want to shoot. He might not even really practice it all like that, evidently. So I think, he feels as though he can contribute and dominate the game at the position in other ways. I would disagree because as a point guard, you're supposed to be on the floor in crunch time, and you're a liability from the free throw line. But, hey, I don't think it's going to get any much better than this. I mean, 29 is an outlier. 29 is an exception. Like, I don't.
We shot 31 last year. He shot 31.
He was hurt.
Well, no,
He was hurt last year.
That's all. I'm not last year. This is all from this year. He was shooting 33 in Boston earlier this year. Yeah. So before this, like his low was like 58%, 56%, 57%.
Right.
He's terrible. So
all right. I'm just looking at the way he fits in with Dallas and their system. I'm not sure if it'll work the way I thought it would work. When you look at the names on their roster and you saw him come in as a guy who doesn't necessarily need to shoot, we thought it would work. But when you look at like Rick Carlisle's system, it's not a lot of the pick and roll that he was used to in Boston, which allowed him to attack the basket and do what he does. And now the word is he may not want to stay in Dallas anyway. You know, is words of him wanting to go to L.A., but we'll see what happens. But just thought that was interesting, and I wanted to bring up the fact that my man is shooting 29.
They don't run a lot of
I think Carlisle understands that too.
Yeah.
No, I think he understands it, saying because he said we want to make his stint in Dallas as successful as possible, and then he said, we got 23 games to do that. So he pretty much knows he has Rondo for this year's run, and then after that, who knows?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, the biggest story this past week in the NBA, and we have to get to this before we get out of here, is Derrick Rose. He tears his meniscus. Will need surgery, so we don't know when he'll be playing basketball again. So there are a couple questions that come out of this. The Bulls as a team, what is their chance now without Rose? And what's Derrick Rose's future? Because he seems to continuously get hurt and gets more grief than anyone else when he gets hurt. So
a little bit of context. A little bit of context. He has a torn meniscus. He's got two options. You can have it removed, have the knee cleaned out, rehab, and be back for the playoffs. Long-term effects, he will never regain explosiveness that he once had if he chooses to opt for that route, and he will almost certainly gain arthritis and bad knees, maybe even a knee replacement, 20, 15, 30 years down the line. He can opt to have the meniscus repaired, and he will not be back to play basketball this season. He's basically got to shut it down and play next year. So the question is, do you go for the short-term fix to return and help your team, or do you go for the long-term fix, which is shut it down, repair it, and give it, 6 months to heal? Those are the two options.
What do you think Derrick Rose is going to do?
Are you
He's
helping
going to shut it. He's shutting it down. Oh, he's done.
But are you helping your team if you're coming back as a non-explosive Derrick Rose?
No. And you know what? Normally, I would give the benefit. I know kind of where you're going with that. Normally, I would say yes, there's a possibility. But from what I saw in the Olympics, I know that's a different type of competition, but he doesn't look from a skill-wise, like he's picked up anything. Like, believe it or not, him coming back now, the way he came back athletically, he was the same. He was darn near the same. Like, he was just as explosive, but I didn't see him reading screens very well. His jumper that they say he worked on religiously, that never showed up. I mean, he chucks that three up, and that is not going in. I don't see him from a skill standpoint getting much better. So it's still Derrick Rose beating you because he's quicker, he's more explosive, and he's stronger. So it's like now he's not a skill guy. Like the skills that he would need to develop as his athleticism declines, I don't even see them being there. Maybe it's because he spent so much time rehabbing as opposed to playing and training. I don't know, Jimmy, but you're right. He may not really be that helpful if he doesn't have bounce. It's not like he can shoot.
Well, my thing with the Bulls, even a Bulls fan called in earlier. Tobias said they were done. There's a lot of people saying they're done, but there's a lot of people on the other side of that coin as well. I think this team, we've seen it throughout, this 3-year period where Derrick Rose keeps getting hurt. Tibbs always has this team prepared. So even in the playoffs, they're never an easy out, even when Derrick's not there. I think with the additions that they made this year and the emergence of Jimmy Butler, I think they're as prepared as they're ever going to be to make a run without Derrick Rose. But on paper, I think that was the Eastern Conference representative in the NBA Finals. But, I said that before we even saw what Derrick Rose was going to do. I don't think he's played all that great this season. And people are banking on that, thinking that, okay, the team can still be good without him because he wasn't playing that good in the first place. But I still think his absence still changed the way other teams are going to play them. And I think it's going to be very difficult for them to make the run without him. But, hey, when it happened, your boy Jimmy Butler stepped up like,
hey, look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
He darn sure did. That's exactly what Jimmy Butler did to the world. He said, "Look at me." Yeah. He definitely did.
So
Derrick Rose,
Jimmy Butler was averaging 20.
He was playing better.
3.
He was playing better.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Jimmy Butler has a lot on his plate. He guards the best player on the other team most nights, the best perimeter player. He's averaging 20 points a game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He might have to step that up a little bit, but with one addition to come off the bench, the Chicago Bulls are still a very talented team. And if they can stay healthy, they'll still be a team to be reckoned with in the Eastern Conference. But it just it pains me to see this dude hurt again. And it's a shame for the franchise, man. It's a shame for Tibbs, too.
This whole Derrick Rose conversation, I got a question for you guys. Why does Derrick Rose seem to get more grief from fans for getting injured than any other player?
It's because of the point we just made a few minutes ago when I asked you guys, when B. Austin gave when he gave the options for a meniscus tear, and we all just knew, Derrick Rose would probably make the decision to do the long-term thing and repair his knee, which is the right decision for an individual.
Yeah, put himself
Fans
in front
don't
of,
look at
in front
it
of
that
the
way.
game.
Right.
Yeah.
Fans just look at these guys, they're just our gladiators. It's macho and tough to go out there and play when you're not 100%. So how Derrick Rose carries it when he's injured, when he wants to make sure he's all the way back before he steps back on the court, I think fans they have started to get tired of that because they hear things like he's going hard in practice and he's been cleared by the doctors, but he still sits out. I think that kind of wears on fans, but that's the decision he has to make for his own future. So, I can see how the fans are reacting, but I can also see, why he does what he does. But that's why he gets more grief, because he doesn't seem in their eyes like he loves the game the way they want him to love the game. So it's unfair.
It's not fair. And I'm going to tell you why I perceive it to be unfair. It's because when he is healthy, he gives of himself more. I mean, he gives of himself with the level that fans expect. I mean, he's all in when healthy. He's going as hard as humanly possible. When he's not healthy, he's going to take it easy and get healthy. So it's not fair. It's not fair because you got guys that don't go anywhere near as hard as he does, but will play injured. So it makes a difference.
Yeah, it ain't fair.
That's my point guard. It ain't fair. Yeah, but I mean that's the.
Kevin Garnett has went home, following LeBron James' footsteps, and went home to Minnesota. He wants to buy the team now, according to a lot of sources. The owner said he's not selling the team until he's what kind of chicken the Hawks go for. But they said his younger teammates are afraid of him. What do you guys think about his young team? There's a young team out there.
He's the ornery old man, and some of the veterans were telling them stories about how he feels about cell phones at game night. They was like, if you got your cell phone out in the locker room at game night, you better tuck it away because he will throw it in the toilet. So he wants, he's that serious. He wants people
I would knock Kevin the F out.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, but I watched them play the Wizards in his opening game, and this team, I don't know if it's the Wizards because they are on like a 4 or 5 game losing streak, but the Timberwolves came back from a nice deficit. The team is playing harder, probably because they're afraid of KG.
Yo, I'm not going to say the Timberwolves are good, but they're talented. They are talented.
Listen, though, real quick, before we get out of here, I want to say this. Kevin Garnett and Kobe Bryant are the last of a dying breed. So it's like, once they're gone, culture that we know of is going with it. So this is a great story to me personally.
Yo, I need
Anyway,
Kevin to
man.
retire, man. I don't want to see him score 4 points and get.
He will. I mean, this is the only point. This is the only reason he came back there, so he can retire where it started. Might not be this year, might be next year because you got to get the rest of that chicken. But
Kevin will retire now. He had to come back to the scene of the crime where he backed the Brinks truck up before he started taking all that chicken. It's time for us to get out of here. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us in the War Room. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, those on Facebook and Twitter. All the calls who chimed in, we definitely appreciate it. Those we didn't get to, we definitely apologize. And, check back with us next week. Special thanks to David West for coming to talk about the NFL Draft Combine. Tune in next week, same time, same place, live right here or on demand on the WRS Podcast Network for great sports talk. We'll talk more NBA basketball, the start of March Madness, and every other big story in the world of sports we'll definitely talk about. So until then, enjoy your week. We'll see you right back here next time. To follow War Room Sports, go to warroomsports.com, and you get links to everything, our Facebook, our Twitter, our webcast, anything we do, our podcast network, everything can be found at warroomsports.com. Until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity, be steadfast in the war against ignorance, and we'll see you chumps on top.
6 to 8. Yeah. War Room Sports. Y'all ready? Let's go. Stay in tune to Jimmy. Know the blueprint. Yo. Every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Doc Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Yeah. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like Magic in the box course. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip-hop scholars, tip-stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, DJ, Jack Beck, B. Austin. I'm Jack. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports. www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.